Welcome. I'm Brian the Builder, and today I am going to begin building this pretty amazing Barbatos kit from Bandai. And I do have the lighting kit from Evan Designs that is made for this model kit. So that kit comes with 7 LEDs. There's 5 red ones, a blue one, and a green one. The blue one's for the backpack, the green one's for the eyes, and the 5 red ones will go behind the pink symbols on the shoulders, knees, and chest. That'll actually make those illuminate more, I think, accurately. I think they should be more red than pink, so that should work out really well. I do also have a set of water slide decals that I'm going to be using rather than the stickers that come with the kit. Alright, so let's get to it. This is our little buddy Mikazuki's pilot seat. So at this point, he needs to be painted. Alright, once these guys are dry, well, really the only one that matters if he's dry is our Mikazuki for inside the pilot chair, right? Our little bare-chested guy. The guy standing on the platform, once he's dry, and I can take him out of the alligator clip, then I'll paint his base kind of a nice neutral gray, and he'll be done also. But once our pilot Mikazuki is done, then he can actually go into the pilot chair, and we can continue on with assembly. Alright, so I'll be right back. Alright, so it's time to do a bit of detail painting on the chest frame before we figure out the LED that's part of the chest frame armor. So I've been looking around online and trying to get some ideas for how and the way people detail up a Barbatos. And I've seen a lot of people do a lot of stuff that just seems, I don't know, I guess bizarrely out of line to what it seems like it would have been done as essentially a war machine, right? These weren't really all that decorative. So, obviously I'm actually doing a bit of decorative stuff right here, just making the pistons metallic blue, but also thinking about how a lot of parts are manufactured as kind of an anodized metal. And color-wise, this seemed to fit into the Barbatos color scheme very nicely. I did see someone that did these metallic red, and I thought that looked quite cool. But as I was looking through all my metallic paints, I saw this metallic blue. It is just Tamiya metallic blue. It's X13. It just kind of struck me that this color was actually very close to the Barbatos' blue armor. And then seemingly it was logical that this would be an anodized blue version. So, you know, as much as I can have logical stuff in my brain for why things are the way they are, it helps me to justify painting any of this, because I suppose all of this is going to be covered up. Well, most of this is going to be covered up anyway, so there isn't a need to do a ton of detail work. Alright, so now I'm going to use a little bit of the Tamiya Metallic Gray. It's XF56. And I just want to get a little something into what I believe are like vents back here. Now, to get the AHAB reactors to stand out a bit more, I'm going to paint just the centers, and they are rotatable, so let's see, where can I stop it from rotating? With a bit of corn red from Citadel. No, I'm not going to paint all three of them the same on both sides. I'll add a little bit of variety. Alright, so we'll get one of these with this nice neutral gray Dawnstone. now hopefully I can hold this in the right spot. And touch it with the zip kicker. Which hopefully, or I just give it a spray. And hopefully not enough super glue. Darn. Alright, so now the challenge is going to be with the zip kicker here. This is going to want to set really fast. That should be a lot of super glue. Alright, now that is back in place. I actually did put a little bit of glue around it just to make sure it's held in. Now we're going to put a battery on quick. And see how that looks. It's really hard to cover up all the light in here and actually see. Alright, I think you can tell. There's some, my god, I'm gonna kill something. Okay, there you go. Oh. So, okay, once I have a little shadow over it, you can definitely tell it's a nicely illuminated. It's not completely even around there, but I would need a much bigger LED. And it looks better to the naked eye than it does on camera. The camera gives it a much kind of, I don't know, hotter hotspot than in reality. But overall, that's pretty darn good. Alright, now I just have to figure out how to get it mounted on the chest, and the wires run through to figure out how they're coming out the back. Made that part pretty easy. Definitely not the way I wanted that to roll, though. Alright, so I redid the resistor. Alright, got that all wired up. Heat shrunk, covered it, so it should be pretty good. I probably won't have to pull any of those through any other spots. You know, in hindsight, again, not knowing that I was going to have to run that through there, it definitely would have been easier to have placed that to start with. But just to kind of reiterate how cool that's gonna look. Alright, so now it's time to move on to the head units, and we'll have a couple LEDs in there as well. Well, I have no idea if this is a good idea, but I kind of feel like that yellow is just not, I don't know, quite enough. So I think this yellow metallic, amber metallic from Model Masters, I don't know, I think that's gonna jazz this up a bit. At least that's what I hope, without making it look terrible. Alright, good. It's going to be pretty subtle. I think that metallic with the yellow underneath ends up, well, it's going to be probably hard to see on camera. It's got a nice kind of not super metallic gold look to it. But hopefully having some areas painted along with some areas, like the white staying, you know, bare plastic, and the blue staying bare plastic, and then small details picked out and painted. I am hopeful that all of it looks like it belongs together, rather than it seeming odd that there are parts that are painted and parts that are not. Oh, it's hard to steady it because I can't touch too many places. hopefully, with this mounted pretty much at like the top edge of the vertical, I hope it'll actually spread through the clear plastic enough that you can see it through the entire space. I don't know that there's a better way with these size LEDs that came with the kit. I believe it should look pretty amazing. So we're gonna set it there and we're just gonna go with that. Maybe Zip Kicker doesn't work quite the same with gel super glue. I don't know. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't seem to be the same bond. I feel like I get with my other super glue. So let's try like another dot. Well, the light does spread through the whole thing. Let's see if I can hold this. Alright, so if it's a little bit protected, you can see, right, there's definitely a hot spot. There's no way to avoid that. But the light does spread through the whole shoulder piece. So that is going to work just fine. Okay, that hole probably didn't even need to be close to that big. It was a little blob of super glue on one of the posts that was preventing it from actually making it into this slot. And I didn't want to force it, but now in there, it makes it so the LED's got quite a large opening, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So it all worked out. Alright, now that both feet are done, it will be the right leg frame and figuring out how the wiring is actually going to run through the leg, which I'm not really sure. Fortunately, does only have to run through the upper thigh and kind of the knee. So first thing I have to figure out here is how the wire is going to go through So, from here, the kneecap is going to be sticking out in this general area. So as long as I've left a decent amount here, we should have no issues with actually fishing this up through a cavity. But I'm not quite sure what happens next at the knee. Alright, well, let's see. let's hope. Alright, good. So, running it through there and pushing it into all the little cracks. Didn't loosen up or dislodge any of the coating on the wires, so I have no cross connections. The leg is still mobile. So, now we just got to move on to the rest of the armor on that leg and the other leg. That's pretty amazing range of motion, and all the gimmicks in there for allowing, I mean, it does seem like you do need to be a little careful, but there is a lot of articulation here. It works nice. So that's good. Alright, so the last of the painting on this leg is really just about kind of the foot here, and just getting a little bit more, I don't know, detail, interest visually. So like I did on the chin piece, I'm just giving the red a coat of kind of an amber metallic, I guess, or a red metallic that's
Model Masters enamel paint. Okay, so now with the legs completed, we are moving on to the waist unit. Alright, now it is time for the waist armor unit, which really is just the armor on the waist. Alright, here we go. Alright, I think I'm gonna paint up these little pieces, right? So my red and yellow need some red and yellow before I actually put the legs on, because these pieces go on, well, the directions want these to go on after the legs, but I would think it would be alright. But either way, I'm gonna paint them up, and I will be right back. Alright, now with the little bits here painted, we are going to attach the legs. Now, depending on where those are gonna run, that shielding might not be necessary. If we can get that up under and then through here, that'll be able to come up into the body. Well, that's pretty unnoticeable. So I don't think I'm going to worry about trying to shield those. And then as we go, I have no idea. I believe the way it's going to kind of come out the back and into the backpack, all the wiring into the backpack. I'm not quite sure where all that's going to go, but I'll be hopefully using that shielding that I picked up, because I think it'll look cool. So we'll see if we get a chance. Alright, it is time for the backpack, which will hold the final blue LED. It's always a bit of a challenge to figure out how to hold on to everything. Alright, then I'm going to hit that with just a little zip kicker. That should be set. Now let's double check, make sure somehow no connections were broken. Alright, we're good. Once that's in, it's pretty cool. It's a little bright right there, but looks pretty cool. Alright, final LEDs installed. Now we just have to finish building the backpack. Hopefully you're not going to see this thing a whole lot, but you know, regardless, it's a power cable, so that'll work. So it is all essentially like I'm going to take these two and kind of wrap them in their own and tuck them in so that there's at least some kind of logical cable coming up. Then they're all just going to wrap together up, kind of tucked in right above that shock, and then everything is going to come out from there. So we'll get these up around the sides, and then everything will meet up together right below the backpack. Alright, so I think this should be set pretty nicely. I added a couple pieces of shrink tube on the inside here to just cover the wiring that's coming out of the legs. You can still see it down here. I don't think you're ever going to actually see that though, so it shouldn't be a problem. A couple pieces of shrink tube here waiting to cover these joints that basically have the jumper now up to the main cables, and then that will be connected to power. So I'm going to solder these two, and then I'm going to figure out kind of the length that this guy needs to be, and we'll get that soldered up with some gigantic shrink tube. So actually I'm going to solder these two real quick, and then try to cover all this up with this big fat shrink tube and see if I can actually get it to cover nicely. So we'll see. Oops, almost forgot to get some flux on there. The flux will help to clean the joint as well as help the solder flow really nicely. Alright, those are not going anywhere. Alright, I'm pretty sure that all of the necessary heat shrink is in place. Hopefully it actually is, because if it's not, it's going to be really hard to put it on after. Probably have to snip, hopefully, well, let's do it this way. Gotta remove a bit of this heat shrink, got a little warm. Alright, so actually that's probably all it needs, just to be sliced a little. Alright, I believe all the pieces should be in place. Hopefully everything's covered nicely. Alright, it is time to build some weapons. Alright, so it's time to start panel lining. I believe, things are pretty bright on camera, but I believe as I start adding the panel lining into the nice little recesses, it should just start to pop out on camera. I'm going to try to be really gentle on any of these areas that have been painted with the enamel paint, because the panel lining is also enamel, and there is at least a slim chance that this could start to lift those enamel paints. So I'm going to try to be pretty minimal with it. Alright, so I have the first decal that's going to go on the shoulder piece here. Nice big one, so it should be pretty noticeable on camera. And then the rest of this is exactly the same over and over and over. So I'm going to start with a little bit of microset. essentially the idea of microset, and all this stuff smells a little bit like vinegar. I don't know really exactly what it is, but the idea of microset is it goes under the decal and actually helps the decal conform to the surface and adhere to the surface. Then after that, we use microsol, and then microsol is very, very good at, I guess, dissolving the decal and really helping it conform to the surface and look like it's essentially painted on. So, we'll see if I can get this lined up nice. Trying to gently roll the Q-tip across the surface. And then, not that it's dry, but I'm now going to apply a very thin layer of microsol. So I just want to kind of dab it over the top. Let it sit. We'll do a few applications of that, and again, over time, that'll help the decal set down and look like it's been painted on. Alright, so a whole bunch more of that. Alright, so I haven't really shown the finished weapons yet, I guess. I did these off camera just because I wasn't quite sure where I was going with them, so they just kind of got taken care of. So the katana, the Giganto gun, I did some bluing on the barrel, right? Some heat staining, so that looks pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty good. This was just brown plastic. I think the slightly olive green, brown drab, it's actually storm vermin fur from Citadel. I'll list all that, but I think these turned out better than just leaving them the base colors. I do like that the kind of inner section on that is a flat gray, where the outer is lead belcher from Citadel. And then this centerpiece is a brighter chrome. So I like the contrasting metals. I do think it actually adds quite a bit. So we're going to add a couple of decals. I'm not sure that you're going to see the decal that's going to go on the sword real well. I wasn't really thinking there was a decal going in there, but there is. And you never know, it might be visible. It's a dark enough background. Yeah. a little more. Try to keep it mobile. And then I think, right, I have to remember kind of where I put it in here. So keep it pretty close to this little slot line on the back edge there. And then when I do the other side, I'll get close. The fortunate thing with that is no one will ever be able to see both sides at the exact same time. So really close is going to really count. Alright, next we'll have the little weapon label, and I think the big weapon label goes, yeah, right up here. And, you know, again, close counts if you're putting on decals. And these aren't even the ones that come with the kit, so close definitely counts. Alright, so I am going to attempt with him standing. Again, hopefully it'll encourage things to actually run down in a natural way and puddle and pool in spots that make sense. So I just have a wet brush, right? It's just full of water. Then I'm going to start with a little bit of Agrax. And I'm just going to kind of more or less dab it around and dirty up his feet. So just adding more water kind of as I go up the leg, and getting it to kind of spread out and just look messy. Starts to puddle up in the spots. I'm trying to soak all that up. And I do want there to be a random distribution, but the scale of little puddly water spots wouldn't look right. So as I just kind of keep moving it around and doing the little dabs, I can dirty it and keep kind of the scale of the feeling of that dirt pretty small. Alright, I don't want to get too crazy. I do want them to have, you know, dirtier feet and legs, but I don't want it to be ridiculously over the top. So after that dries, I'm going to add just a little bit more to the feet. Alright, now that that's dried, I'm going to try, hopefully I can actually maneuver this and see what we're doing. Just want to add like a little bit of streaking. You know, if you were a giant robot, every once in a while you'd probably be left to stand outside in the rain. This dude does seem to power slide on his knees here and there. So, and doing this ought to help hide the cracks in the actual armor that we wouldn't want anyone to see. At least a little in there. Otherwise, it's too white. Noticeably perfect in comparison to all the other dirty spots. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Alright, I think that looks pretty darn cool. Okay, well, adding LEDs to something this size was definitely a challenge, and I haven't done it before. Also, one of those parts that I think turned out really well. All the decals turned out great. I really am happy that I decided to pick up G-Rework's set of decals. They're inexpensive, and there's a ton left that I can use for other things. There are so many of the little like warning decals and symbols and all that kind of stuff that could be used on any other, 1/100th scale, master grade, whatever Bandai kit. That's all of that kind of stuff is going to be very similar. So this guy, again, very, very happy. So let's hit the LEDs here and see how those look. I like how after doing the matte varnish, it did help even diffuse those lights more, so it looks even better. Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the journey here with our insane Gundam Barbatos build. I guess it's not that insane. There's a kit for the LEDs from Evan Designs. The next one I build, I'm actually going to do all custom LEDs. So a fun build no matter what. I appreciate guys like a Taco Builder out there who have inspired me to do LEDs at all, especially trying to wire something this small. I do want to try to figure out a better way than pushing the resistors through all the time. There's got to be a better way to wire LEDs than that. No matter what, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.